Welcome. Welcome to Authentic Self Uprising. It is so good to see you guys. It's so awesome to be here. I have been looking forward to getting to do New Year's week with you all. Oh man, like it's my Christmas morning, essentially. So thank you for being the presents that I get to unwrap today, that I get to be with today. Hello. Feel free to say hello in the chat. Where are you joining from? We got people from all over the world hanging out with us here at Authentic Self Uprising and doing this badass work of tuning a little bit more into who you really are. Okay. Oh my gosh. Good morning. We got London, Alabama, Boston, Ohio, Kansas. I'm in Kansas, so yeah, that makes sense. Rhode Island, et cetera, South Africa, New York. Oh my gosh, you guys. Let me catch myself for a second because authenticity is something that we humans can meet on common ground. Everybody has an authentic self. And everybody has the social conditioning that makes it challenging to be our authentic self. Okay, a big deep breath around that social conditioning and the layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of that crap that, oh man, it's in there. There's no fighting against it. There's just meeting it and letting it dissolve one layer at a time. And that's really what this week is about is what layer is ready to soften? What truth is ready to peek out from behind and say, hey, I've been in here for a while and I have thoughts and stories and needs and magic to share if you're willing to be with me, if you're willing to embrace me. And there is a part of all of us, that's why we're here connected in this space. There's a part of all of us that is ready to be seen. And I don't necessarily mean by each other, the people that are here in this group. I mean by you. Okay. Like a deeper part of your own truth that is ready for you to see it and for you to meet it. And so that's the invitation of the being in this space over these 5 days is that we will have that quiet time to turn inward in a safe space with others who are doing the same to meet whatever is willing to show itself to us at this time. And if you've heard me talk about authenticity and my theories, I have lots of philosophy when it comes to authenticity. One of my absolute favorites is that it's like a spiral. Okay, so we revisit the same vantage point, we revisit the same ground, what feels like over and over and over. And sometimes we can expand only to find that, like, wait, I thought I healed that wound. Why, why am I seeing that again? Did I take 10 steps backwards just now? Did I regress? Am I failing in some kind of way by seeing this thing that I thought I already healed that, And when it comes to authenticity, it truly is this spiral of going through the same wounds, the same social conditioning again and again and again, and relaxing it and shedding it one little bit more each time. And so basically that to say that the things that are ready to show themselves to you this week, they may be brand spanking new. Like you've never looked at this piece of yourself before. And if that's what happens, like, dude, again, badass that would be ready to show itself to you. Maybe though, it's something that, I have seen this before and I've worked with it and I went to therapy about it and I sat in coaching about it and I've journaled what feels like 1,000 pages about it. And here we are again with a little bit more that's now ready to show itself to me today. And the very first piece of yourself that I hope you'll allow to come into this process with you is your non-judgmental observer. Okay. The part of you that can see through kind eyes that you are right on time. This exploration journey that we are undertaking this week is not about having new evidence to use to beat the crap out of yourself. Okay. Like, oh, I should have figured that out a long time ago. No, we're not going to play that game this week. We're going to look at that and say, thank you. Thank you for showing yourself to me at all. You're right on time. Oh my gosh, you couldn't even be more on time to reveal this truth to me in this moment. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay. There's no truth that's ever late in revealing itself. Okay. It's always exactly the way it needs to be. And that can be kind of hard for certain parts of us to accept, not the non judgmental observer. That white, fluffy blanket wrapped around you that knows that you are doing your best always, always. And you get to let yourself off the hook of like, I could have done that better. I should have known. We don't have to go there, not in this space. And so that invitation, let your non judgmental observer just be riding right beside you as we go through this entire week, especially today, because today, day one, is about seeing more of your truth. It's about revelation and getting to meet a part of yourself more deeply than you've been ready for yet. And so I want to talk about that as far as like masking. Okay, this is a word. This is one way of thinking about it, is that that truth that we haven't seen yet, it's under a mask. Okay, yesterday I was doing an analogy where it was under the rug. I had a really beautiful rug put right on top of that thing. Okay, so whatever analogy you like, go for it. All right, masking may not be the one that works for you, but that's what we're going to use as the analogy throughout the rest of today. Is this idea of our truth lives under the mask. And why is that? Okay, this is really important, and this is going to fuel the non judgmental observer. Why do we put our truth under the mask? To keep it safe. It's safe under there, it's protected under there. And yes, it is protected and it's safe from other people. Like we want to hide that from other people. We want to be seen in a certain way by other people. That's real. And no shame, non-judgmental observer, they don't care that you're doing that. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. The really important trick of this though is that we're also keeping the part under the mask. It's under there so that it'll stay safe from us. We want to see ourselves in a certain way. Okay. And so often when we hide our own truth from ourselves, there's a really good reason for that. And its name is self-judgment. Okay. Self-criticism, self-judgment. And here I want to tell you a story about this weekend. I'm talking like the last 2 days. Okay. Because this process of unmasking and seeing more of your truth, it just keeps on going day after day, year after year. I haven't found the end of revealing my own truth to myself. And that even just these last couple of days, I noticed that I was having an inner conflict. Okay, there's part of me that wants this thing. There's a different part of me that wants this other thing. And I cannot, in the 3D physical earth realm, I cannot do both at once. So I have to pick one. And the one that I'm picking means that this other part that like wants this thing that I'm not choosing, it's feeling pouty and angry and all kinds of things. And it's like, okay, well, a really, really beautiful friend asked me the perfect question of like, what does that part actually want? You know, we can't do what it wants on the surface, but like, what if we dug down a little bit deeper into what does it really want? Like, what is the driving need underneath that part? And when she asked me that, I felt resistance to looking under the rug. I felt like I don't want to know the answer to that question. I want the thing that I want. I just want to stay up here with like the surface level need. I don't want to dig in. I don't. And my process and how I've done work on myself now and practiced this for so long is like the more resistant I am to looking at a thing, the higher up on my priority list it just went. Of like, that is now the most important thing that I need to spend some time with and I need to look at because I know that the more resistant I am to facing it, that means that a couple of things. That means, bottom line, the size of the resistance to looking at it is equal to the amount of my power that is waiting for me there. And it is that understanding that had me pick up the edge of the rug, that had me take the mask off and look deeper at what is it that this part really wants. And once you are willing, like once you're willing to face that resistance and like actually go into the thing and look at it, the reason that we don't do that is because the self judgment is like waiting right there. Like the self judgment is the first voice that you meet on that journey of like, okay, see the truth, criticize yourself for being that. And it was like, I saw the truth. And then my self critic is like, well, that's pretty pitiful. Aren't you pathetic? Like, this is what my self critic said to me yesterday morning. And at that moment, I'm like, oh, so this is why I can't be with this because I'm judging myself for being this way. But what if you take your non judgmental observer in there with you? What if you observe the part calling you pitiful and say, I can be with that? Yeah, I could go there. I can see that in some ways, and you're right. You're right to be criticizing me, but I still am this. There's love there as well. And so as I sat with the pain of criticizing myself for it, what opens up as you will embrace the whole picture is the gift of that hidden part, right? Like these 5 days, we're going to go through, like the revelation is just the first step. Day 2, we're going to embrace what it is that was revealed. We're going to love it as fully and as completely as we possibly can. Because on day 3, the gifts start emerging. Like I said, like we are as resistant to viewing something, to facing something, as we are going to be empowered by facing it. Those things are equal. So if you can be with the parts that don't want you to see it, the parts that are criticizing you, and then sit with it and love it, there's power, there are gifts, there is all kinds of magic and medicine that is waiting there for you. And I feel like I went through this entire process yesterday because as I sat with this deeper truth, what I realized was like, wow, like one, I really didn't want myself to see that. But number two, now that I do, that actually contradicts this story over here, my limiting beliefs of like this story that I have about myself and who I am and what I think I'm capable of and what I think I'm not capable of. And when I look at this truth, I see that that story, those limiting beliefs, they're not real. And so here's my power coming online is like that truth just dissolved those limiting beliefs. And so we set ourselves free when we are willing to look deeper and deeper and deeper into ourselves. The benefit of revealing your truth to yourself is freedom, greater love, more of your power, but freedom, freedom to choose what it is that you want, freedom to tell the most loving story possible about who you are, who you know yourself to be. And the resistance we feel to looking at it, I keep circling around this because It's normal. If there was not as much resistance to your masked truth, you would have looked at it already. Period. So, this is the timing piece of like being with our truth deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper is about our capacity for loving ourselves through the resistance. Because the only thing that will neutralize that resistance, that will neutralize the critic who wants to call you pitiful and pathetic for being what you just discovered that you are, the only way you can be with her is to love her. And do you have capacity to love that much self criticism? That's hard. It takes a lot of strength to face your own truth. And so, again, we go back to the non judgmental observer and the right on timeness of you couldn't have faced the resistance that you're, still that's coming in the future, like the truth that's still hiding inside of you and from other people. Like you couldn't have done it any sooner than you're doing it every single time. So that is our basis as far as like what this week will hopefully be is a safe place for more of that truth to come out and to be gentle with ourselves as far as any resistance we might be feeling to turning inward and being more with ourselves, because that is our power, right? Like the resistance is your power, using your own power to keep you out of yourself. And that's happening for every single one of us. Some things are hard to face. If it wasn't, we would have done it already. And so this week is a deeper invitation into how much of yourself can you be with? How much can you let go of the picture in your mind of who you think you should be? That's what was keeping me out of my deeper truth yesterday, was this picture in my mind of like being independent and not needing and et cetera, et cetera. And like all of these things that like I'm wearing a mask that says, nope, I got myself covered. I'm self-sufficient. I'm independent. I don't need anything from anybody else. I got it. And that mask had to come off for me to see a deeper truth, which is no, actually, I do have needs that involve other people showing up. And don't we all, you know? But I can't see that if I am demanding that I be independent, self-sufficient, don't need anything from anybody. Looking under the mask is one of the most courageous things you can do. The other piece of masking that I really want to touch on is how repetitive this unmasking process really is. It's not like take off the mask and now your mask is off and you're done. Good job. You did it. Like, if only. If only it were like that. But here's the beauty of it. And I talked about this during the first Authentic Self Uprising back in October of like the plot. Okay. Imagine if you opened a book and on page one, there's everything. You read one page and you're done. Versus like the Harry Potter books, for example, and there's thousands of pages of unmasking and revealing and the story weaving itself together and the interest and the intrigue and the fascination of like, what's going to happen next? And so our life is like that. We take off a mask and we deepen our self understanding. And from that place, we have more strength to take off the next mask and the next one and the next one and the next one. And yesterday I got to see these 5 steps hold me again for another lap around the spiral of deepening my authenticity. Look deeper under the mask. Embrace what you find there. Claim the gifts of what you now have access to. Take up space with those gifts. Take authentic action with those gifts. The process stays the same. And we do it over and over and over. So I feel like this week I'm giving you the keys to deepening your authenticity for the rest of your life. Okay. It happens just again and again and again. And as we think about this week, I would love to ask you, what is your intention? As you think about carving out this time and space for you to get to turn inward, to get to be with your authentic self, what is your intention? What do you want? Taking time to set an intention is incredibly powerful. Whether you do that every day or you do it at the beginning of the month or the beginning of the year or whatever, it can be the same intention, it can be different intentions, and then revisit it. Hold the intention that this is what I want. And that intention will do the work for you, basically. Okay. So, like, let's say your intention, and I'm going to invite you to share them in the chat if you want to. Let's say your intention is, I want to know myself more fully. I want to see more of my truth. I want to rendezvous with more of my power. I want greater freedom. I'm unlocking more joy. Setting an intention doesn't have to be like super involved and planned out. And I have like this 37-point business plan about how my intention is going to work. No, it could be, I want more joy. I'm unlocking more joy. That intention will work wonders on your life because there's pathways to get there everywhere. Same for like deepening your self understanding. Like there's pathways to get there everywhere. Every single moment of your life can show you more of who you are when you're open and wanting that. So, yeah, take a moment and oh, I love that, Leanne, to see my December 2025 self and use her as my North Star for the next year. The intention you set can be for today, it can be for the week, it can be for a specific part of your life. I mean, intention setting is like you and your magic wand. Okay. Like you can point it at anything you want. You just say, this is what I want. Point. And so what are you going to point at? Want to know why I feel so restricted? To build the stronger routine of setting me time for me to be in the moment with me. Love it. Inspiration and creative juices to flow. Yes. Add more fun and playfulness to my life. Yes. Be more focused and take action, more freedom and more pleasure. Connect with and understand what support looks like, sounds like, and feels like for myself so I can help support myself and my fellow beings. Beautiful. These are so good. These are so good. So as you move through this week, or even just the rest of today, hold this intention. Setting an intention is like putting glasses on where now you're looking at your day through the lens of your intention. And so, like, let's say the one about playfulness and fun, like, if you put those glasses on, every single moment is an opportunity for playfulness and fun. Or the one about support, every single moment can be an opportunity to study what support really looks like. So we're going to put those glasses on as we go through the rest of today and see how that shapes this process of looking under the mask and looking deeper. Um, yeah, I think we're ready for the guided visualization. Let's take a moment and get real quiet and turn inward. Okay. There's no right or wrong way to do this visualization. You can actually do it with your eyes closed, eyes opened if you want to, and be in your journal or get quiet inside of yourself. I'm going to talk you through this visualization. It takes about 10 minutes. Um, and yeah, I would love for you to be fully with your experience of it, no matter what it is. Okay. Like this is an opportunity to, again, welcome in your non judgmental observer. There's no right way to have this experience. And just notice if even there's a little bit of you that's like calling out things that are wrong or not as good as they should be inside your guided visualization. That would be totally normal. And it's just one more opportunity to practice. So we will get quiet and take a moment to explore this next chapter of your authenticity journey. So find a comfortable position, whatever that looks like for you, and close your eyes if you would like. And take a deep breath in and out. And allow your body to relax with each breath you take. Okay. Imagine yourself standing in front of a mirror. As you look at your reflection, you notice you're wearing a mask. This mask represents the current chapter of your story, the face you show to the world. Take a moment to really see this mask. What does it look like? Is it colorful or plain, smooth or textured? Notice every detail. Now, consider what this mask represents in your life's narrative. What aspects of yourself is it hiding? And what aspects of yourself does it allow you to show? Perhaps it's a mask of constant cheerfulness, hiding your true emotions, or a mask of busyness, concealing a desire for rest and reflection. Or maybe it's a mask of perfectionism, covering your beautiful uniqueness. Whatever it is, acknowledge its presence without judgment. This mask has served a very good purpose in your story. Imagine a soft, warm light emanating from beneath the mask. This light represents your authentic self, eager to shine through. Now imagine slowly beginning to remove the mask. As you do, you're turning to the next page of your story. Take your time. As the mask starts to come away, notice any resistance or hesitation you might feel. That is perfectly normal. With the mask fully removed, take a moment to feel the sensation of openness on your face. Just notice how it feels to be unmasked. Now, imagine looking down at the next page of your story that's been revealed. What do you see? What new possibilities are unfolding? We don't need to try to read the whole page or dive into the whole chapter. Just take in the first few lines, the beginning of this new part of your story. As you peek into this next chapter, pay attention to the emotions and sensations that arise. Do you feel excitement, nervousness, relief, curiosity, judgment? Remember, our non-judgmental observer is collecting the data from all of it. Just notice where these feelings show up in your body. Perhaps a flutter in your chest, a warmth in your heart, or a sense of openness in your throat. Whatever you're experiencing, just allow it to be there. These feelings are the first words of your new chapter, guiding you towards greater authenticity. Take a deep breath, allowing yourself to fully acknowledge this new chapter of your journey. Remember, you don't have to have it all figured out, and that the beauty is in the unfolding. When you're ready, you can open your eyes, bringing with you the insights from this moment of reflection. Take a second and open your journal to capture anything that you'd like to remember from peeking under your mask, from catching a glimpse of the next chapter that's ready to reveal itself to you. What did you see? What did you feel? Where did you feel it? There is no right or wrong way when it comes to looking in on more of our truth. And sometimes the truth that's ready to reveal itself is that I have resistance to viewing more of my truth. That's more of you that you're being with. Sometimes there's a whole world in there. Sometimes there's one little piece more of something that you've seen many times, but now it's got this extra little bit to it. There's no right or wrong. I'd like to invite you to share in the chat a takeaway from turning inward and looking under your mask. It can be about what you saw, it can be about how it felt. Was it easy? Were there multiple masks? Was there more that would have shown itself to you had you stayed longer looking at it? We're just collecting the data, collecting the information on our own truth, studying our own truth, one little bit more at a time. Mm, it felt safe. That's amazing. So glad. It's like one of the main benefits of doing this kind of work in a space with other people. And I mean, when it's held and facilitated by another person so that it is like somewhat temporary and we don't like get lost in there. I feel like that's a common fear is like, I don't want to go in there because there's a lot in there. And so when it's like, well, we'll do it for a few minutes and we'll just see what we find. Um, Calm. I can't see what is ahead, but my body knows it is going to be calm and good coming for me, coming to me, a sense of full calm. When I started, there was so much light already shining from underneath the mask. That's amazing. It was all caps bright and all caps intense, blinding light. And then my eyes adjusted. Oh my God, that's amazing. Simultaneously freeing and terrifying. Classic, so normal that we would feel the expansion and the energy of facing our truth, and that the parts of us that have been the ones hiding it from us, they are most likely not going to enjoy the process. Like that would only make sense. They want those parts to stay hidden. Other parts of us want them to come out into the light. So having that conflict it makes so much sense. Love it. I love it so much. So, that process of looking deeper into our truth, that's the beginning of the next chapter every single time. And you see how many different faces, like a diamond with hundreds of facets. Okay. And like every single facet can have a mask on it, or maybe multiple. When we feel unsafe, when we feel like we express who we are and somebody attacks or abandons or rejects, et cetera, we retreat and we cover. And even when we are the ones rejecting ourselves, even when we are the ones judging or criticizing or attacking ourselves. And so that is why in my book, if a piece is willing to show itself to you, that's incredible. That's incredible evidence. And again, it's never late. It's always right on time because of how much safety and love and acceptance it takes inside of you for your own tender, scared part to show itself to you. Okay. Like we are our own worst critic. That's true for almost every single person on the planet. And so, doesn't it make sense that there would be parts of us that are hiding from us? And so, being gentle with ourselves, accepting the parts of us that are feeling resistance, that are scared, that are criticizing, letting it all be there, letting the non judgmental observer look at all of it is something that absolutely takes practice and will only become easier the more we do it, the more laps around when we, like I said, like earlier in my story, like when I'm resisting looking at something, we're carving out the morning because I need to be with this. Like that's how seriously I take this, that like if there's resistance, that means my power's in there. And so I'm going to dive straight in face first because I've learned that like, well, as soon as you face it, you get the power of it, you know? And the longer I'm like, whoa, I'm resisting that, so I'm not looking at it, you're using your own power to keep you apart from your power by choosing to not face the thing you're in resistance to. So it is empowering to even just realize that, like, literally, you kick off this whole process just by seeing yourself, just by laying eyes on your own truth is a deeply empowering process. I love these descriptions of the masks and like what you guys saw in your, and that's like again one of the coolest things about doing guided visualizations like this is that your own subconscious gets to like fill in the details. Like what you are shown is very specifically what you need to see at this time. And so when I say there's no right or wrong way, like for example, somebody's saying like I felt nothing much behind it. That's right on time. Like, oh, there was no light behind the mask. Perfect. There's no wrong way. So you can't get this wrong. It's only what happened and being with what happened. And like what does that mean to you? Not necessarily what it means to me, but what does it mean for you that that thing happened in your visualization? This is all information about your next level of truth that's ready to reveal itself. So let's dive in to the exercise for today. We've been walking towards this part this whole time of like, what is most important to you? Okay. What are your values, your top values? And I have an exercise that I made for you guys to help us facilitate this. Get it pulled up here just a moment. Okay. So, this values exercise, I am going to give us like 5 minutes to do this together in this moment. And let me talk you through what I've got for you here. As far as each of these listed are different examples of values that maybe you hold. And for each one that is important to you, go ahead and write it down. And then we will whittle the list down to what are the top two or three that you would say, like, these are my top values. And underneath each column, there is a line because I mean, I've seen values exercises that have like 200 options on them, and there's like maybe 25 here. So this is by no means a complete list. And if there is something that is your top value that is not on this list, then please add it to your own personal exercise. Um, as you write down all the ones that are important to you, then go back through and put a little triangle next to the ones that are top half of your values. Like this is the top half of most important values to me. And once you have your top half, go back through the top half and put a star next to what is the top half of the top half of your values. And we're working towards what are the top two or three items on your list of most important things to you right now in your life. And a lot of you have probably done a values exercise before. Um, and I would encourage you to do it again. Like just pretend you've never done one before. Total growth mindset here, beginner's mindset. Um, because as you reveal more of your own truth, your priorities and values shifting would be totally normal and natural that would happen. Um, like I said yesterday, like the mask I was wearing wasn't letting me value what I actually valued. And that was like setting up this inner conflict that as I dug deeper into my own truth, I found values that I was not honoring. And that was really where the inner conflict was coming from. So, yeah, if the thing matters to you, write it down. Once you have all of them written down that matter to you, then start working through your top half. Once you got your top half, work through your top half of your top half. And I'm going to be quiet for a couple minutes and let you guys do that. Once you have your top two or three, please share them in the chat. so that I can see. And that includes if you wrote any in and that ends up being your top value. Fantastic. It does not have to be ones on the list, though the list can definitely get you started. Mhm. Yeah, like even a few months of continuing to get to know yourself and your values change, you know? And so there is no right or wrong answer. It's not about trying to like come up with the perfect values that are the right one. Like, no, it's really about like an exercise in knowing yourself in this moment. What is most important to you? And for those of you that have that list, you've got your top few, go ahead and write a sentence about what that value means to you. Because two people who value connection, for example, they may have a completely different mental picture of like, what does that actually mean? Again, we're just deepening into your own truth and what is most important to you. Mm, yes. So, yeah, go ahead and write those sentences of what do your top values mean to you. I love these. There's so many that are overlapping with each other. And like it just makes total sense that we're all here hanging out. That we are definitely aligned in our value of such work like what we're doing here today, of deepening into who we really are and what am I even doing with this life? You know? Like authenticity to me is about being satisfied in your life. Like it's really difficult to love your life if it's built on the mask versus if we take the mask off and we let the truth come forward, the true values of who we are come forward, and then we build a life that reflects those true values. Every day, it's just scrumptious. It's delicious because every time you turn around, your values are reflected to you in everything that you do in your life. That's like the ideal outcome of getting more and more authentic, and often can be a starting point for people. I mean, most of you won't relate to this as far as like I know a lot of people in my spaces have done so much work on themselves, have come so far in knowing themselves, but that can be a starting point of like wanting more authenticity in your life, is that you feel like your life is reflecting somebody that you aren't. Like I remember when I started my year of truth back in 2021, I felt like I was walking on eggshells in my life so that I wouldn't disturb the peace. I wouldn't rock the boat. I could just like get along and keep the peace, et cetera, et cetera. And that was like not only really stressful and cost a lot of energy to like make sure that I presented myself in a certain way so that I wasn't objectionable, but it also meant that those friendships like weren't very satisfying. They were scary more than anything. So, yeah, yeah, the eggshells, man, like that's a good sign that, okay, so not that I need to be more authentic in these spaces and to these people, but that I could probably look deeper into myself and find, what do I really need? What do I really value? And how could I live in alignment with that 1% more? If you've been around, you've heard me talk about 1% more, 1 degree turns. And it is never about like the end all be all of like, okay, we're done. We got that done. We're checking authenticity off the list. Like, no, it's like 1% more in alignment with who we really are. 1 degree more knowing the truth of our own being so that we can live in alignment with that. Let's go ahead and look at values exercise part 2. Okay. And I am going to give us a couple minutes to play with this just because we have a little bit of time here, but also just so you know that this is available to dive even deeper using these values into your own truth. Maybe this is something you want to spend some time in your journal later on or whenever. Um, so here's the question. How energized do you feel when participating in activities that align with each value? Okay, select from the table to the right or write your own. So, like number 1 would be your top value. What is your top value? Maybe it's connection, maybe it's spirituality, whatever it is that came out for you, right? That is number 1. And then answer, how energized do you feel when participating in activities that align with that value? Is it draining? Is it energizing? Do you feel depleted after? Do you feel vibrant after? How do you feel when you spend time with that value? And go ahead and do that for each of them. And maybe there are other words that would come to mind. Like maybe with this one, I feel challenged, but I like that. There's like an energy in feeling like I'm conquering this challenge. Whatever. Can't get it wrong. And then let's also look into, how do your top values show up in your current life? Are there any values on the list where it's like, wow, I haven't done anything that aligns with that value in like a month or like 2 months? Or maybe one of them, it's like, yeah, that's why I do that thing every day because I love that and I feel so good when I do that. And so ideally, every value is represented in your life every day. Because most likely, when you're operating in alignment with your values, you feel your best. And when you are neglecting your values or when you're operating in opposition to your values, our body will tell us through discomfort, through resistance, through physical depletion, or even breakdown, that like we're giving all our energy to things that don't actually matter to us. That's like where burnout comes from. Versus if we're constantly pouring into the bucket of these are the things that matter most to me, typically it's we're spending energy and receiving energy by doing that thing. And maybe at that point, it's a break even situation. Like, yes, I spent 2 hours doing it, but I also got a lot of energy from doing it. So it wasn't a cost of energy, it was a gain because of how aligned it was with my values. And also, are there values that are easier to align with and ones that you mask or hide? Like the one that I found yesterday, that like I value that and I don't let myself have it. And it set up this inner conflict that was really hurting me. And what was hurting me? Not letting myself align with what was important to me. And so sometimes what we find when we dig deeper into our truth is something that really matters to you that isn't allowed to be a part of your life. And again, like normal, so normal. And I think this one is like super fun, a very revealing question as far as what is the history of your top values? Where do they trace back to? Because sometimes we're carrying around values or we're prioritizing things that are actually more in alignment with our social conditioning than with our true authenticity, which is normal. I mean, the truth of ourselves includes our authenticity and our social conditioning. So it would make sense that our values are some of all of that. And the more authentic we become, that's where like maybe the values that we're shedding were in alignment with our social conditioning. And the new values that are coming online are the ones that are even more and more and more in alignment with our authenticity. So this is why revisiting the values exercise as you go along can be super powerful. So I think there's a lot of meat on the bone there as far as digging in just even through this lens of what are your top values. That can be a really informative mirror to look into, especially when we talk about like your intention and the intention that you set earlier in this session about what you want for this week or what you want for this year, et cetera, et cetera. And then we put that side by side, your intention and your top values. Are they all pointing in the same direction? Do they want the same thing? For example, if I value, I'm just like pulling examples out of like what you guys set for intentions earlier, but like if I have the intention of like, I want more playfulness in my life, and then I value achievement, maybe we think that that intention and that value are at odds with each other, or we can make them work together as far as like when I experience playfulness, I consider it an achievement. I'm achieving playfulness. You know, how do your values and your intention work together? Because both of those are creating the path that you are walking. Both of those are like bringing you into your next now moment all the time. They're both glasses that you're looking at your life through. And are they working together? Could they be working together even more, like consciously? How could you zip them together so that your intention and your values, it's all pointing at the same thing that you want? And for me, a lot of times it comes back to I want my life to be satisfying for me. You know, I want to enjoy being alive. I want to not feel burdened by being alive. That would be ideal. Whatever it is that your overarching goal is, are your intentions and your values pointing in that same direction? Or how could they be even just 1% more? Yes. That internal conference table, Jay, we're going to be meeting around that conference table before the week is over, as far as like, right, all of these parts that maybe want different things. Okay. And that's where tomorrow, we're going to stay on for just a little bit more. If you guys have to jump off, you sure can anytime. The rest of it will be on the replay. I'm going to have Lainey come up and we're going to have a conversation. But tomorrow we are diving into day 2, embrace your full self. Okay. So all of the parts that love what you're doing, the parts that are criticizing what you're doing, the parts that are still hiding, the parts that want to be seen and feel like they're not, all the parts. Okay. There are so many different parts, and that is normal. And honestly, the more we let all the parts be as unique as they are and like let those like seeming inner conflicts be there, the more sane we really feel. You know, it's when we force ourselves down into the box that says, I'm one thing. That's when we start to feel insane because we're not. We're a multitude of faces. We're a diamond with hundreds of facets, and giving room and space for every single facet to be loved, to be accepted. Not that it needs to be different so we can love and accept it, but so that it can be loved and accepted as it is right here, right now, today. That's what we're doing tomorrow before we move on into the rest of the week. And with that, Lainey, are you ready? I'm going to ask you to unmute. Yes.
Hi,
Hi.
everyone. Hello. Thank you for having me. Just talk a little bit with you. I'm so excited.
Same. How was today for you? Let's start there. How was it?
Today was wonderful, and this is my second uprising that I've done with you. And yeah, this another spiral up. I saw and heard different things. And the mask that we're talking about right now has been so I've been in with this for a year with you, and this is my second like uprising, but I've done a lot of other. But the mask has been something that I have been wearing for my whole life, like all of us. And in in your meditation, it is just funny to see that when I first see that mask, it's just this like smiling, happy, like this is the mask I'm showing to everybody. And like, but I love how you said, like, that's my gift. Like I'm still showing a best part of me. I Today was great. Today was great. And I don't know. I'm so excited for everyone here, and I'm excited for me to be just like hearing this again.
Yeah. Another
Yeah,
layer, you know?
another freaking layer.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would love to know, the unmasking and revealing our own truth to ourselves. What
Yes.
has that been like? Like, what, if you even feel like sharing, like some of
I
the truths
feel
that
so
have
much
revealed
like
themselves?
sharing.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel because the thing that was really coming to me is you talking about like we're not trying to figure out these masks so we can like show our real selves to everyone. Like, and that has always been what I was heading towards. I need to do this so I can be my real self for everyone else. And I have this year has been the biggest that it is truly for me. And it sounds so flipping cliche and all the you need to love yourself and all. But until this year and until now, and it's going to keep every single day being more, but I never was doing it for me. I never was like truly loving myself. Like it was constantly, I'm trying to find a thing so I can fix me, so I can get along with everyone else and like make it in this mask of like, I've taken them off. I've taken a lot off and I have 37 million to go. And that's okay. But I just love me. Like I am learning me and like when I am able to like have the moments, I had a super huge one this week with Carly and I met with my 28-year-old self and that was a part of me that I tried to cut off and never talk to again and bury deep down into the ground and I can't do that. And like when I took her in, and I've been chatting with her a lot this week since we reacquainted. And it was just another reminder of like, I met more of myself because I showed myself this more love. And because of that, like, I'm just loving myself more. And like, it's just that 28-year-old child baby that was making some hard decisions in life, like I would have tried to continue to forget her for the rest of my life. I just would have. I was working on it and I was doing a really good job of it. And I'm like using her as an example because it's like such a big example in my life right now, but it's so many of me and I just didn't know me and those masks coming off and me meeting me is just the safe space that I have with you and like this whole group. I see all these faces that I do know that have like given me it's just it's so unbelievably hard to explain until it's here because I thought I was looking for something and I had no idea that it was this. And now that I've found it, it's just, I've seen the light and I will be flourishing for the rest of my life. And yeah. So that's what it's felt like for that.
I am so grateful for your willingness to share about like wanting to cut off that
Mm,
part of you. Okay. Because that is like the question that I get of like when we find this new piece that when we maybe don't have our non-judgmental observer totally fully consciously on board and we're like, okay, so I see this thing. How do I get rid of that? How do I
yep.
do a violence and like murder that part of me because she shouldn't get to exist.
All I
Okay.
lived.
Like get rid of her. How do I do that? And like I've gotten this question so many times and I just want to give a moment of compassion to the instinct that would have us want to kill off a part of ourselves. Okay. Because dude, aren't we all trying to do that for a second? And then
Mm,
yes, we come back on to that non-judgmental observer frequency of like even loving the part of us that's wanting to do murder to another part. Like you're
right
precious.
there.
You're so
Mm,
precious for trying to
really
push her
precious.
out and trying to make her not exist. And like I just want to honor also, Lainey, like, the safe space that you mentioned,
Mm,
that like yes, the external safe space, but also the internal safe space that you have built this year that lets you come face to face with a deeper and deeper and deeper, maybe another way to say, like more and more rejected
mm,
parts of yourself. Like we didn't show up in the first session together and do that work with your 28-year-old self.
mm,
We spent 6 months of weekly sessions doing the work layer by layer by layer by layer to get to that part.
mm. And
And
yeah,
please.
I love that you're like super pointing that because like even when I was saying it out loud for the first time in yeah, a long time, it was like comical to me that like whoa, I haven't said this to Carly and like this is obviously some shit that I need to work out, but like it's because I couldn't get in there because I had all of this other stuff on top of it and it's the masks were just so heavy and thick and like it's funny that like going through that with you today like I could see how thick it was and like yeah and it's on there. We've done so good of like making it edible for the rest of the world, and it's yeah, the safe space for me that's inside of me like you talking about that you were given that this week going through your another layer of like I can be there for you. Like I can be in a room by myself and I can be there for me. I don't have to like run away from me anymore and like cut it off. It just yeah, it's just so invaluable. It just yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want to
Mm,
go back to like what you said about I was looking for something and I didn't know this was it, and
mm.
like what would you say you found?
It's funny what I found because like when I first talk about it, it's like I found nothing because I'm doing nothing and my world is the best it's ever been in my whole entire life. But obviously I'm doing a lot. But I was blaming more parts of me. I was blaming my body. I need to lose weight. I need to eat better. I need to go move more. I just all the things that all of our conditioning is telling us and it's just now I wake up and it's excitement and it's not the just like okay I need to go through this list of all the things I need to worry about this morning. I need to get those things covered, give them plenty of worry time and then like and it was just a constant and now it's like I I will say I think Janine's on here now, but she talked on one of the end of your programs that like made me like jump in. but she said that she felt like she was just like zipping off like the old, and she talked about like her belt just keeps getting tighter, and like I have lost more weight in the like it's just like melting off of me. I'm just like going out. I went skiing yesterday for the first time in 25 years. Like it's just I'm doing things because I want to and because I know it's going to feel good, and it's just I wasn't living like that. I just wasn't living in that world. And it is amazing to be living in that world right now. It's just
Dude,
going to keep getting better, right? Because we're
congratulations.
awesome. What?
Congratulations. Like
I
that is
know.
so many things that come
Mm-hmm.
online. And I want to go back to like the beginning of when I start working with a new client and the vision sculpting process that we do first of like let's project ourselves into the future by a few weeks or a few months. What do you see there? Like what is going really well in your life? Like what paint me a picture. You wake up in the
Mm-hmm.
morning and then what? And so we spend like that first session like getting super detailed about your vision and what it is that you want to have in your life that is seemingly not there right now. And then at the end of that, lady, do you remember how I was like, okay, so we're not going to do anything to make any of
Anything.
this happen? We're going to just take that and set it to the side and we're going to reclaim our energy.
Mm.
Do you remember?
Thank you
Can
for
you talk
saying
about
that.
reclaiming
Thank
your
you for saying
energy?
that.
Yeah.
Yes, because that is, I think, like when I like retrace the beautifulness that has come, I think that is like my first big brick that I've been building on, because I had no idea how much energy I was using to hate myself. Just, and even everyone tells you, like, don't say that about yourself. Don't like everyone tells you, don't worry so much. Don't all this kind of stuff. And it's just so easy to know that you're not supposed to do it, but I didn't even know how much I was doing it. Like it was deep, and it's great now because like even just like being around my people, and like I hear it in everyday life and everyone, and I was doing that and I was living with that because we all are, we all are, and it's just like and it's because I don't waste my energy. I still waste my energy plenty. I'm working on it every day, but the awareness that reminds me of the awareness too of just like, I am so aware of like, no, I'm not going to be mean to Precious because Precious is a badass. Yeah. It's just, yeah. The energy that I was spending on just crap that wasn't getting me anything. And now the day that we built on our first session is so hilarious to me, and I think about it all the time. I think about like this like beautiful vision that I was going to be my best life, and I have like so knocked that out of the freaking water. Like it's just like that's like little tiny people stuff. No, that was offensive. That's just like little, yeah, it's just, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
just like it's not for the big livers like we are, and it's I never in a my I didn't see the availableness of awesome, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it
Mm-hmm.
goes back to, like our social conditioning has us put happiness over there. Like when I lose the weight, then I'll be happy. When I have my dream home, then I'll be happy. When I have my lover in my bed, then I'll be happy. And it just doesn't work like that, Like,
Not even close.
and when you are it, when you are like the love for you, like then the life just starts like coming over here where you are kind of thing. And even like the weight loss is like super impressive because you and Janine both reported that side effect. And again, we weren't on purpose trying to do that. We were going deeper into the inner emotions. The like, the storage unit that came up as an analogy there at one point, about
Yep.
halfway through our work the last half of this year of like, you know, what if, and I'm not an expert and I'm not claiming that this is exactly how it works, but what if the the pounds on our body are made of stored emotion, stored pain that we have not let ourselves process. We pushed pause. we sent it into the body, and our body is like, okay,
There
well,
it
I'll just hang
is.
on to that until you're ready. And so the storage unit analogy of like, you open the door and stuff is like falling out. Like it is just floor to ceiling, wall to wall with boxes. And I lost you, Lainey, but where'd you go?
Oh.
There you are. I got you. Um, but yeah, like just totally crammed full of all of these boxes, of all of these things that our body is holding for us. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you, body.
Thank you, body.
And then we try to lose the weight, like that's gonna make us feel some kind of way versus if we go straight to unpacking the boxes,
Mm.
if we go straight into like, what is the stored pain that has yet to come up and allowed to have a voice and be processed? And we do that,
Mm.
then what? Like, then what's possible? And yeah, like you started telling me what, like a month or two ago that like I I
It's
can't
been
explain
just
it.
these
Like
last couple months.
I've
It's
not
just
been this
been
light since
5 years.
years. Yeah,
5 years.
yeah,
Yeah. But obviously, yeah, but it is the, it is just a mind blown of just, I feel it's living as me. Like, I just feel like I am just like living as me.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
A little bit more,
A
and a
little
little
bit
bit more,
more.
and a little
Yeah.
bit more. And we are still meeting layers of Lainey that are
Mhm.
showing up in our sessions that are like, you guys seem to be like really safe and loving. Like, can I come out in here? Like, can this
Same
story
here.
be told?
Yeah.
Because this one hurts. This one burns my throat as I try to tell it out
As
loud.
I
And
the that right there, and I know I don't want to take, but that right there is like, you people talk about doing the work and like practicing a practice every day, and it's just, this has helped me like truly like feel that and get into it, because it is work and it is a lot. And there are some days where I am like, fuck this. I'm sorry.
uh,
Yeah, I am just gonna like, I've been doing it for this long, like 40 years, it's hard. It is, but like the days of waking up and feeling like I know that like I'm gonna reach back up to this place that I have built up here, and like I can't, it's just so worth it. And when I know that I have a lot of years left to go, I have the rest of my life left to go
yeah,
doing this, right?
yeah,
But it's just like, it's still gonna be work. It's not gonna be easy, but it feels so good. And it's, yeah,
it
keeps you
does.
coming back for that deliciousness every time without having to force yourself to do it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Like when we will look under the mask and see more of our truth, yes, it's painful, but the pain is short. The benefit is very long.
Exponentially up.
The pain is very short. The benefit is very, very, very long. When
Yep.
you unlock it, it's unlocked.
Forever. Yeah.
And yes, the hour that we spent in the conversation where like, there's tears and snot and can't breathe and we need to just take a moment and ball it out a little bit. That's the work. Like actually letting your body release that pain that it's hanging on to. And that process of like kind of birthing that pain, like, yeah, not super pleasant, not something you want to, do out in the middle of the square for the public to lay their eyes on, but in a safe space, in a loving, non-judgmental space, you melt that one time and it's melted. And
Mm.
yes, there's another box in the storage unit that like, okay, next week we're getting out the next box and we're doing more, but once that one is melted, it's melted.
And I can
And
build with that one. I can use the gift that I just found or remembered
yes,
in that one. And like it can push towards my other ones. Yeah. It's so fucking beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the fuel to do the next one, the
Yep.
power that we got from the one we just did.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you said that right at the beginning too, is like what you're resisting is about to be your power. Like it's there, like yeah, and it's about to happen.
Yeah. So like it becomes this like radar for your own resistance.
Mm.
What am I avoiding?
What am I
And if I
avoiding?
can find it and then find a safe space,
Right
okay,
there.
to
Hmm.
face it with somebody who can walk in there with me. And then at least if I can't
Get
love
me
it,
out.
if I can't like be totally accepting of it, I've got this person over here that's their job to model love and acceptance for this part that we're uncovering. And like there was a moment in the session last week with your 28-year-old self where like our critic will start chiming in with thoughts. And I'm
Hmm.
like, critic, I see you and you're allowed to be here too, but we're not raking 28-year-old Lainey over the coals right now. She is telling her freaking story,
Mm.
and that's badass. And we
Mm.
love her for showing up and being willing to be seen right now. She's bringing so much energy with her. And so while it's tempting to be like, she should have blah, 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 like, no, not right now.
Yeah.
Well, we'll save
You're
that for later. If we
prepared.
really need to come back to it, we can. But for right now, like, dude, amazing,
Mm.
amazing willingness to show up and be seen and to give that part a microphone and hear its story. It was a very powerful story.
Yes, and she got to speak it, and she gets to be heard, and she will
Yeah.
continue to be heard. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm. Thank you.
all of them.
Thank you for doing that today and letting
Mm.
yourself be heard in this setting.
Thank you.
Such a gift to share what this journey has been for you and the layers of like, a little bit more safety inside yourself, a little bit more safety, showing up a little bit more, like just these little bit more, little bit more, little bit
A
more.
little bit
And
more and adding on top of it.
yeah, and what's possible
Yeah,
when you're willing to
I
do that.
when you're willing, and I will forever, and we've talked a little bit on just like I'm not feeling any pressure on trying to get everybody like jump in and do this. I want to fulfill the feeling that I had when I heard Janine speaking of just knowing that there is a life that you get to choose of you and like learn you. And I just hope that for everyone that I ever pass for the rest of my life. So
Yeah,
yeah.
same. And we all have that like divine alarm clock that goes off
Mhm.
at
Right.
the
Yep. That's
exact
right.
right moment.
I
Okay,
don't know anyone else's timeline.
that's right. Me either. And
Mm.
all we can do is like when we are ready to lean in one little bit more to ourselves. And if an external safe space would be helpful for that, then, there's lots of people offering that. I mean, I'm by no means the only one. And this week, even, I have three of my coach friends who are going to come up and they're giving away exploration sessions. And like, I want everyone here to find a safe space where they can meet more of themselves. Whether that's with me or someone else, I don't even care.
Mm.
Okay. Because it's that important. And I couldn't hold space for everyone if I wanted to, So, I mean, the fact that this is something that you're interested in knowing more of who you are and doing that work, I mean, it's 100% possible just inside yourself. To do the work and to lean in through journaling and your own meditations, etc. Sitting in a safe space with someone else to model love and acceptance and gentleness for you, towards you, can accelerate the process exponentially. So, not to say that it's required, but there are absolutely benefits of having space held for you and your individual process. So, we'll talk more about that as we go. For today, before we sign off, I want to thank everyone who has filled out the survey, the Authentic Self Uprising Getting to Know You survey. Those of you that did fill it out, you know that you got a free little gifty gift in your email inbox with a complimentary 4-part program for unraveling the fear of rejection. Okay, so I gave this to anybody who's willing to fill out the survey. If you haven't yet and you want that program for free, all you got to do is go fill out the survey. So I'll make sure that the link to do that is along with this replay. And as soon as you complete the survey, you get the free program. You can dive in on your own time. There are about 4 hours of coming at the fear of rejection. I find that when it comes to being our authentic self, the fear of rejection is pretty much on everybody's path as far as like you're going to have to come face to face with, but what if other people don't like it? Or this one person, what if they don't like it, et cetera, et cetera. Fear of rejection is very common. And so if those 4 hours can help to soften or make it more manageable or put a couple more tools in the toolbox for how to face that in a constructive way, I hope that it has something for everyone. So that is all I have for you today. We are back tomorrow at the same time for day 2, Embrace Your Full Self, and the rest of the week with sessions that will continue to build on this initial revelation that we had here today. Whatever you saw in your visualization, whatever aha moments have clicked for you while we've been sitting in discussion, trust that it's right on time. And even if you're feeling extra ambitious, you don't have to do this, but carve out a little bit of time to process and be with what was it that revealed itself to you today. And give it a giant thank you for its willingness to be seen, its willingness to share its truth with you. And by doing that, its energy, its gifts, its power. Everybody saw something today, and it was right on time, no matter what it was. I thank you so much for being here and for doing this work inside of yourself. It's absolutely gorgeous to get to sit and like look out at all of you doing this. I will see you tomorrow. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I am sending you so much love. Take good care. I'll see you soon. Okay, bye, everybody.